water. They have great carries, insane amounts of damage, and this time they're not trying to run a fourth carry in the jungle. So they've kind of improved on that point. This comp makes a lot of sense. It's a 4-1 composition with massive scaling potential. For the side of CFO, though, this is, I would say, more of a somewhat lane dominant composition when it comes to the mid game. You do have a lot of kill threat with the Orianna against the Azir. With the Shockwave, you can catch them right outside of the E, can finish it off with the Lee Sin execute, and the bot lane should win just a little bit as well. But it doesn't have that much strength in the late game. It's very much dependent on mid game for Malphite to actually get good, unstoppable forces down.
It's going to hinge on that for sure. CFO, if they get this win, they can close out on a 3-1 to send PSG down to the lower bracket for the first time, I believe. CFO really making a splash here in this split. This is a team that I think they came in hot. There were some questions asked about them in the middle as they started dropping games. I know I was one of the people that started to rate this team down, but all of a sudden they pull a switcheroo. They bring Shun in week number 5, and this team has been tearing it up ever since. Keep in mind, it's the team that managed to end PSG's win streak, not just today, but back then in that first week of Shun.
Yeah, that was a lot of games under PSG's belt at that point. I believe it was a 13-game win streak or something of the sort from PSG. Absolutely ridiculous. They break that in half and go on a run of their own. Now, I will say, in terms of the draft, I actually do favor PSG's a little bit here. I do think CFOs have much narrow win conditions, and this is not a draft that they're particularly familiar with. So we have to see how they set up on Drakes. We have to see their coordination. And most importantly, on the other side, I think for PSG is how well, is this Azir from Bay? Azir, high mastery champion, not a champion you can just pull out of nowhere and expect to do very well on it. He had, career-wise, did have a lot of games back in the Korean Challenger scene, but as you said again, hasn't played it. First time this split.
Yeah, we'll see if he still has the fast fingers for it. I am curious. Definitely, as a high school champion, you get a lot of crazy outplays. You can definitely make the big ones. But what I am worried about is if CFO, for PSG that is, if CFO do manage to line this up, if they do manage to correct on the mistakes the last time they played this Malphite Wombo combo, I mean, man, it is just brutal CC for days. That into a Shockwave. They may not have a hyper carry for Shun this time around, but we'll see what he can do in the laning phase. Actually getting forced back under tower for just a second, and Gemini a little bit slower on the draw here as Juhan is going to find him on his own blue buff. He's going to get chased out.
And they also have the bot lane that is pushing up as well, so very nicely done by Juhan. Both lanes pushing up for the side of PSG. Gemini's probably got a chance for a steal right here, but doesn't really have a chance to go in and contest this all right. Nearly catches out Bay.
Yeah, that would have made a bit of a difference, but nope, going to lose out on his blue buff. Tries for round 2 here, and I don't think Bay realizes this is happening. He's going to probably have to burn his flash here, and they're just setting it up, lining it up. He burns it. No, Gemini mispredicts on the Q, but they do get that summoner.
I like the second attempt right there. Very nicely done, and this does put Bay in a rather awkward position. We have seen, especially rookies, Orianna. I'm not really sure how relevant that is because rookie Orianna is kind of a thing on its own. But we have seen this Orianna just Shockwave Azir's to death quite often. Like, Azir cannot pull off the E animation quick enough before he just gets just pulled right in for the Shockwave. So that's when you usually see the Orianna matchup start to come out ahead, and a lot of those Lee Sin ganks going through it. And now with the flash down, it's even more likely.
Yeah, that's kind of been the game plan for CFO, right? It is trying to keep Bay on the back foot, just shut down the mid jungle if possible. If you can't shut down the jungle, the mid certainly works out, as Bay has been much less of a carry than the shoes that he was filling with Maple. So certainly an angle of attack for CFO here, but he's right back into it, a little bit lower on the CS, but can try to use those Sand Soldiers to try and even that out. Mission, though, can keep him at bay, to borrow a pun.
There's so many Bay puns being thrown around in the PCS. Yeah. And, this is pretty standard fare for Azir. Usually does get the push earlier on. Jim might come in for the repeat gank, but this is let's see if he works.
No summoners. Okay, he shifts. Oh man, Gemini's 0 for 3 on those. Meanwhile, we got to check in on bottom again. Blade Caller. Ooh, Koala's low here. Unified, they can push him back, and that is the turn. I didn't see how that one started. It was 2 summoners burned. Unified's heal and Kaiwing's ignite. Now here is the turn. Gemini going to walk onto the ward, though. This is spotted.
I feel like Gemini is spending a little bit too much time trying to find these ganks here. He is down. If you look across the jungle, he's going to be down by 2 camps at this rate. And I do want to say great find from Kaiwing. You know, that's one of the strong points about this champion. Renata, you can find the handshake. It does damage to both of the targets right there. And early game, it's actually kind of hard for Xayah to avoid those. So we are seeing at least the first back work out quite well for the side of PSG. And I do expect that to shift a little bit once Shun does go back for the serrated Dirk, as usually is the case.
Gemini's looking to double down here, actually walking through for a lane gank, but he's going to be met by Juhan. This could be trouble. They're going to open up, and they find Kaiwing flashing away. Shun follows, looking for that kill. They will not get it because he gets a bailout on himself, but finally falls down. First blood as a trade comes through. It's a 1-for-2. Shun, Koala burning all summoners, but they do come out ahead.
Yeah, that was a massive win. Shun actually walks away, and Juhan isn't able to find any damage, while Gemini is able to find the backline. Now Juhan has to walk through.
Oh, he's forced to flash away. They're not done yet. Gemini wants a little bit of revenge for that blue steal earlier. Shield is on. He still can't quite connect with the Sonic Wave. He runs straight into it, and Juhan gets the outplay. He's even going to walk it out. What is happening?
Oh, that was so greedy from the side of Gemini. I can't believe he tried to do that. And I think they were just smelling the blood, smelling the 3-1 finish, but there's no way that one was supposed to work out.
Oh, they pushed their luck. Pushed their luck way too hard, Clement. So dust settles. It's 2-for-2.
Yep.
Down bot. It's a 100 gold advantage. Let's take a look. Let's rewind all the way back to the start because it was on Koala getting a hook. Kaiwing flashes, but Shun, once again, is the killer instinct. Eventually, it runs out of steam.
Yeah, and this is absolutely huge here because they don't manage to get the kill onto Koala before the bailout actually times out. So there was no revive at 28% HP. That goes over to the extra kill on the side of CFO, and then Shun is able to kite it out. So we do have a pretty strong posture here coming in for Shun. Despite the CS deficit, he should be in the gold lead at this point, and this is where this lane starts to become quite strong. So I think CFO, they are getting into that point where there's a lot of different points they can attack. The bot lane should be winning for them. The mid lane still doesn't have flash, so Gemini could attack that quite easily as well. And for PSG, I think they're going to have to start and think about this top side. You do have that Stormbringer for Juhan, and that means Hanabi can straight up chase Rest down for miles, basically.
Yeah, and Juhan's continuing to make Gemini's life a little bit hard right now. Sometimes Gemini kind of at fault for that one, but he loses out on his red buff, and they do have the information that he is up towards topside. Rest is going to try to play back here. Of course, he is losing out on the CS in this one, but he's not necessarily playing for lane dominance. As he is on this Malphite, they want to get that big R in for the engage. And this is going to open up the opportunity for first Rift Herald for PSG.
Let's see if CFO smell this one out. They do know it's happening, but just ticked over to level 6, and it does look like CFO have to let this one go. I want to see PSG actually just straight drop this into the top side. That's straight, but give Hanabi more of a lead in this matchup. This is, you know, it's a neutralizing matchup for sure, but I feel like Hanabi throughout these games hasn't really been given enough resources to win out, and having that side lane split push is going to force CFO to send members to deal with the Tryndamere, which takes away pieces from their wombo.
Yeah, Bay takes a little bit extra time trying to get that blue buff, manages it at the end of the day. And this is a bit of a late dragon start for Gemini, actually kind of second-guessing if he really wants this. I think they thought Unified and Kaiwing might be coming up to try and contest, but nothing doing there. So we'll definitely keep our eyes on where Juhan ends up dropping that Rift Herald. As you said, probably looking at the mid lane right now. CFO are going to try to play a little defensively to set up, and they will be able to pick that first dragon. We won't get an Ocean Rift this game, Clement, because the Ocean is the first dragon.
Ah, nice. I do like my more aggressive ones. We are down to our Hextechs and to our Mountains. I feel like Hextech would be the best for PSG in this case, while Mountain slightly better for CFO. I'll find out which one it actually is here. Just a small correction. I do want PSG to drop their Herald onto the top side. I feel like Hanabi.
Sorry, not mid.
Yeah, I feel like, Azir is just kind of there. And we do see missions start to claw back the matchup. This is usually what happens post 6, especially with that flash advantage as well. But Juhan, looks like he has other plans in mind. We are having a bit of a slow game, which I do think favors PSG overall. You know, this Drake timer, if you take everything into account, it's still like at the fastest a 24-minute Dragon Soul. So PSG have found good ways to kind of delay the tempo of this game and not force themselves into a 5v5 against CFO's very strong mid game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you called that's kind of the edge there, and they can wait it out for late if they want and take a nice slow ride for the time being if they don't make those mistakes. I mean, that's been the death knell for this squad. It's a very small gold lead, a very small advantage for CFO, not a whole lot to speak of, and despite some chaos down bottom side, you know, they got a little bit back for themselves. Juhan with the outplay, Gemini on the unforced error. We'll take a look at the gold at the moment. Juhan does actually have the most in the game, just barely, up against the side of Mission. Okay, Rest looking for the 1v1, actually, and not be able to heal it right back up. So not a lot of kill pressure there unless he really wants to risk going in on the unstoppable force and hoping he can hit his buttons faster than Hanabi. But here comes Gemini. A dive is inbound.
They're going to force the ult from him, but it's not the easiest dive to execute.
It's not, but they've got time to wait it out, and there's the kick into the queue. Gemini does make it look easy that time around. Herald's actually popped to the bot, though, as here comes the push from PSG Talon.
And Shin has to be very careful here. Juhan can disable the tower, so I feel like their only choice is to completely back off if Juhan does go forward for this one. But whoa, they actually wave clear very well, saving the feathers for that waves and setting it up for the push. So very well done by Shun to kind of defuse that situation.
Yeah, you know, you don't usually see the level of poise from a rookie that Shun has displayed. I mean, yes, he got pretty hard outplayed in game number 1, but man, he has been looking better and better as things have gone, and you can really see why the team put so much stock into having him start in week 5 and just continued on here. Koala looking for a hook, doesn't quite find it onto Unified. This game bot lane a little bit more even, but CFO kind of coming out ahead there. They managed to get a few plates for themselves. Is a nice outplay up top with the help of Gemini. Rest is really off to a decent start. Frozen Heart complete.
And Frozen Heart, this is the item I wanted to see. When I was looking at the ban picks, I was saying, wait a minute, all of these guys are attack speed based. Unified, especially if he goes into the Onslaught, is incredibly reliant on attack speed. Bay as well with the Azir. Then you have the Tryndamere. So everyone is going to be feeling the effect here. I liked how he skipped, you know, kind of the usual tank item start just to go for this one. It's the best value you can get in a single item here.
Yeah. Rest definitely having a little bit more fun with this one right now and finding the adaptation that he needed. After game number 1 certainly didn't go his way. He's been unleashed in the last few. As you mentioned, it is a little bit of a slower game, but CFO building up a little bit of advantage right now. They have a timer, as they do not want to go into the late game. We'll see what they can get done with it here. Gemini and Koala, danger of being caught out. Sky Splitter, though, they do dodge it out. Off the back, Mission picks up his Luden's Echo, though, so he's going to be a bit of a threat in of himself. Bay's going to have to respect that. Dragon comes up in a minute.
Yes, they are doing a very good job in controlling this side of the map here. They have plenty of pinks to make sure there are no flanking wards. And I think CFO are just going to find it pretty difficult to force themselves into position for this Drake. It's 40 seconds into the Infernal. This means Juhan and his Scuttle will cover that timer. And it looks like instead... Whoop. Oh.
They tried to make the play. Oh dear. Mission. A quick flash. And he does trade it for the ultimate, so it's actually quite a good cooldown timer, and they're not done just yet. And the Shockwave will pull in Bay, but in a 2v1, it doesn't matter. Shutdown lands into the pocket of Juhan. Gemini is going to get caught on the rotation as well. He does get the kickback, lands the Sonic Wave. Rest is coming at his back, but they don't want to fight that one out. Meanwhile, down to the bottom, Shun trading it out with Unified in a 1v1. Unified's finding more damage on this Aphelios.
Yeah, and does have the execute as well, so Shun has to be very careful. Unified could close the gap. He has 2 gap closers still left there. And yeah, just good vision advantage into a surprise coming in from PSG here. I feel like Mission overplayed his hand. I don't think PSG really cared about the threat into the top side whatsoever. And that's one less chance that CFO have to snowball. Let's see if Rest tries to TP and join.
Oh,
here
they're going to contest this. Oh, here comes Koala looking for the knockup. They're trying to interrupt as much as they can, and they do steal away the dragon, and the hostile takeover doesn't do a thing right now as they yoink down Juhan, getting dinner and dessert.
Oh, that was so well done by CFO at the start of this, especially for Shun outplaying the smite there. He gets the Infernal Drake. That is so important because it forces PSG to contest before they really want to. Let's see what happens to Gemini, though.
Okay, he's going to be able to walk away. The handshake was almost point blank on the face, but he's able to get away from it all the same. I cannot believe CFO just got away with murder there.
Yeah, like Shun was able to out-damage the volley bearer, I believe, just with the blade callers there. And sneaking away that objective, getting the extra kills there. PSG had a very early start on this one, but I think Rest did the correct thing here because the tower plates are already down. You don't really care about Hanabi getting much done in the top lane. He did a preemptive back, and sure, Hanabi caught up on the wave, but no, that doesn't really matter all that much. So, well played on that side. Honestly, there was no jungler here. A jungler was very late, so a little bit unfortunate on the side of Juhan. Good steal coming in from Shun, and unfortunate for Kaiwing because they were caught in a position where they had to flash out right there, and Aphelios also wasn't in the fight, actually got pushed in by Shun there, so they essentially played what should have been a 4v4 into more of a 3v4 and let CFO walk away with it.
Yeah. And we also got an answer to your question from earlier, Clement. We will, in fact, have a Hextech Rift on the map, so all sorts of cross-map shenanigans. A lot more possible, a lot faster here at PSG. They are going to get another Herald at the very least for themselves, but they weren't able to get a full charge off, or rather a full tower takeoff with the last one as they popped it on bot. Oh, Hanabi forced to flash away, and they just chase him down. But he is going to be able to walk it out. Now PSG, realizing with so many members down bot, they can just drop the Herald up top side. But they are going to be in a bit of a tower race, as Shun getting the push down on the bottom with some help from Gemini. Should be interrupted by Bay, though.
Yeah, I think PSG will be able to equalize on the turrets, but the question is trading mid lane worth it? I feel like that is a little bit more dicey when it comes into the calculations here. Azir really needs that mid lane to stay up, and it does seem like CFO, because they don't have vision on the top side, are willing to just relinquish that push for a better recall. So, all in all, not too terrible for either side right there in this trade. If I'm looking at the next fight, though, I still feel like PSG need to power up. Aphelios, much better at 3 items compared to the 2-item spike from Xayah, and the same goes for the Tryndamere as well. So PSG most likely going to take things very, very slow, and I think the big turn is going to come on the 4th Drake. The 3rd Drake, still way too iffy.
Well, and it's as you said, like the composition-wise, right? Like this is a hyper-scaling composition for PSG. They're going to want to have that late game. They have the 4-1 opportunity. Also, Hanabi, he can still chase people down. He's on the Stride Breaker build, but we do have a pause coming in here. So let's just kind of like look at the game state. It is still a gold advantage for CFO, but it's only 2,000. It's not unmanageable. We've seen a couple of mistakes so far from CFO, meaning that there's little places that PSG Talon can take advantage of, find the place, but they are trying to play a little more conservatively, a little slower, because they have that late game.
Now, what we've seen in the past game is that Hanabi Tryndamere actually does a great job in teamfights. He's able to get so much ground by himself, and that makes the job of the Malphite very awkward. Because as a Malphite, your first job is to just rush into the enemy team, put a ball onto you, and then just dunk them with the Shockwave combo. But when there's a Tryndamere there, it makes the calculation a lot more muddy, because you have to think about your own backline. You have to think about, is Xayah going to be able to survive this one, and all the things like that. So I feel like there's still a very good chance for PSG to win and contest on the 3rd one, but what most likely they have to do is find that flank coming in from Hanabi. And I think this is what they're setting up to do with that swap from the bot side to the top side. They want to put Hanabi back into control of the long lane that they have in the bottom, and then try to flank across the river that way coming into the 3rd Drake. We're only 2 minutes away, and I think this one is, for PSG, the way they should approach this is, if we don't get it, it's fine, but if we do, we'll try for it.
Yeah, and they have an opportunity, right? I mean, again, with the Hex Gates, you can, try to position for, for a little bit of a better flank on the other side. Even on blue, you can do this. PSG are actually trying to bait a fight. Juhan is waiting over the Raptors right now, but Mission's able to just poke out Kaiwing. This is another risk of playing the Renata, right? Is like, you are squishy. You do not have tank stats.
Yeah,
you gotta walk it out.
Do not do a good job with their composition at actually pushing terrain. So what CFO are doing here is really smart. They're going directly up the ramp into PSG's jungle and saying, you know what? You have an enchanter support. try to push vision with enchanters, try to push vision with a Bay, and they know that they can just poke out with Mission. Once again, Orianna has been, I think, the most played champion of Mission's career, and he's very good on control mages like this.
Yeah, and another reason why you just can't ban him out. Now there is a wraparound here from Hanabi. Koala puts down a ward in that river brush, so they clearly think something is up here. But now it's just going to be the turn, the reset for the dragon. Still about 40 seconds before that one spawns, so we will just see the reset.
Yeah, we do have Rest coming in with the Sunfire, so...
Oh no, the melty combo, Clement.
This is pretty interesting.
I love it. I mean, I usually see this kind of thing more in TFT, I'll be honest.
Yeah, you usually assume that they're going to go for the Iceborne, Frostborn Gauntlet just to, you know, get a slow field down. The damage is kind of a secondary thought, but this is how Rest wants to play it.
He is a very entertaining top laner. Like, I mean, he's been a little quieter on the emotes this game, but he's kind of known as our BM king for any of you uninitiated viewers. He does like to spam. Now, PSG. Okay. Ooh, I don't know if Koala wanted that one to connect. But all 5 members of CFO are here, as are PSG. Dragon is up.
All right, we do have to look for the flanking angle now for Hanabi, and he's going around the long route. And CFO have also pushing the way.
Taking it.
Yeah. I think this is okay for PSG. Like, they knew this was a bit of an outside chance on the 3rd Drake. The 4th one is when you really want to, but you need to force feed some of these carries right now. Azir 2 items is not comparable to Orianna. Neither is the
Aphelios?
I wanted to call Aphelios. There we go. There's too many champions that start with A.
Azir, oh my god, yeah, you're right. It's starting to get there. It is interesting to look back over the years and think of how many have been added, well, in the process of everything. Whoa, look at this though, PSG. The sneaky Baron start. Ooh, it's Gemini not that slow either. Gemini's going to be spotting it, but do they commit? They're staying on it. They're not bailing away. Rest has teleport. This is a risky play. Here comes Koala around the backside, looking for the setup here. He's just trying to buy some time. I don't know about this one. Trying to pull the Great Escape, but meanwhile, it's all a ruse. It was a ruse, Clement. They're gonna sacrifice him for the Baron for CFO. What an absolute ridiculous bamboozle.
They were just using
and they get out.
Pain.
I mean, Koala dies, but it's totally worth it.
That was such a funny play from Koala. You see him coming in by himself, and you're like, this is a dead Koala. And then he turns around on their head. He gets so far away, and PSG actually chase. Look at Bay. He's completely flabbergasted. He's like, what? Wait a minute. Did we just lose Baron for that?
I cannot believe what we just saw. That is the biggest brain play I have ever seen.
I love what Rest did as well. Rest was there just to make sure PSG couldn't get over the ramp. It was like, I'm a rock, and I'm just going to clog this ramp. I don't even care if I die.
Koala, like, the crazy thing about it, too, is, like, it would be so, like, understandable to be like, oh, he just, like, he made a mistake. He thought he was going into the team, didn't go in with him, because it's happened this series.
Yeah, it's happened actually
I can't get over
times. That. Oh, boy. Is PSG going to be sent to the lower bracket by a Marsupial? That was such a clean play.
Hey, man, I used to cast the Oceanic region. Never underestimate the power of koalas.
That's a drop down level play. But Jun's coming in, though.
Okay, I don't know about this one. Juhan, he's forced to... Oh, no, the Stormbringer is storm brought, and there's nowhere to go here. The kickback, Gemini getting unified into no man's land as they take him and Kaiwing off the map. Everything's starting to fall to pieces for PSG. Clement, we might be seeing it. Did the Flying Oyster knock PSG off their perch?
Oh man, PSG has been so dominant this entire time throughout the league. It looked like they couldn't be contested. They could have had the better draft the entire time. And I just can't believe this is happening. You know, CFO has looked really kind of discombobulated, but this game, they're attacking PSG from so many different angles. They're outsmarting them on different levels. And let's just watch this again. Juhan, he tries to find the angle, but it's a very difficult angle to force through, especially against this Xayah here. They're forced to walk through Mission. Mission ain't going to let them do that. And what a clean play by Gemini.
That was beautiful between Mission and Gemini. Absolutely incredible coordination there. And now Gemini
again.
is really feeling himself. Gets the insect, and Juhan's heading for the hills, forced to flash away, calling desperately for backup, but there is only Unify coming, and I don't think he wants to. He does try to turn a kill around. Moonlight Vigil going forward, but Gemini again, and Mission will not die!
The base is wide open. They bait PSG to overcommit right here. That's the AD carry gone. There's no one to wave clear.
This has got to be it, you have to think. If they can keep this push going, 25 seconds is a long time. They're going to at least get this inhibitor down, and 5 members strong. Yeah, Koala tanks up a tower shot, doesn't really matter. And this is going to be PSG's final stand. Are we going to be seeing a 4-game series? No, because CFO decide they would much rather get the reset. They are playing with restraint, Clement. They are not pushing their edge.
They got the flashes, and that's good enough. They don't need to chance it right here. Koala, please come on.
Koala does get caught. This is a turn.
This is a bait, is it?
Yeah, I think it was. Hanabi, he's just going to get knocked up for days. Eventually, that Undying Rage is going to run out. And he's doing a lot of work, but it's not enough. Meanwhile, Base caught again, too. Get your Yakety Sax playing as he tries for the 2-man shuffle, but they don't have enough damage to follow through. That hostile takeover
Mission actually
is only
kills
going to do enough.
Shun.
They do manage to shut down onto Shun. Can PSG shut things down here? Their base is under siege, though.
There is some
CFO are going to try to walk it out.
Yeah, Russ can still come back into the fight, but that was such a clutch play from Kaiwing. He actually tags the hostile takeover onto Mission, and with the clockwork windup, Mission turns around and kills his own AD carry. So, what a massive play, but he might not even survive this.
Yeah, Rest has already gone in on the flank, and now Kaiwing, he bails himself out, but it's only a couple more seconds remaining. Meanwhile, Juhan and Kaiwing and Unified are trying to go in. The Shockwave dodge, but it doesn't matter. Sundisk up, I don't think that's going to deter CFO for very long. Hanabi is pinging for help right now as they've lost the last Nexus turret. Well, Dragon Soul be damned, Clement. I think they're going for it.
Yeah, Zaya has just respawned right here in 24 seconds. And here comes Rest. He's about to finish this game off.
He's certainly trying right now. Juhan and Hanabi looking to hold the line, but I don't think it matters. The Big Bear is going to get taken down to 0. And after the knock-up, Rest, he really only needed to bowl 1 strike. And that is going to be the series. CTBC Flying Oyster knock PSG Talon down to the lower bracket.
Nobody saw this one coming. PSG were heads above shoulder, the stronger team throughout the regular split. They had the bot lane that was so consistent here, and the top lane that could match up against Rest, but they still dropped the series. And this game was a really weird way how things played out, honestly. I just feel like the early skirmishing power and just how consistent Mission was throughout this entire 4-game stretch was what put PSG down. We were asking the question, who is the best mid-jungle duo in the PCS? And the answer is, after Maple, it's no longer with PSG, it's with CF.
Yeah. Mission and Gemini, and also just